What's going on? Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports and NFL Daily, and I have the top 10 New York Jets head coach candidates in 2019, brought to you by our good friends and sponsor, BetDSI. The New York Jets said, forget about it, to Todd Bowles, and as you can see, after 4 seasons, Todd Bowles just wasn't getting it done. Now, I'll say maybe I think Todd Bowles was given the short end of the stick, but at the end of the day, the GM is staying, and the focus is going to be on quarterback, who they drafted 3rd overall in the 2018 NFL Draft, Sam Darnold. So with that being said, a lot of these coaches who you're going to see are going to be offensive-minded because also Todd Bowles is a defensive-minded coach. Now, the Jets, 2018, were 4-12. How can they get over the hump? How can they potentially be AFC East champions? Maybe it's with a brand new head coach. The first guy coming up here on our list at number 10, it's Zac Taylor. Taylor isn't a coordinator in 2018, but his role pushing Jared Goff to reach his potential as status under a rising star in Sean McVay have forced his name into the head coaching discussion. The former Nebraska quarterback has experience as an NFL offensive coordinator after helping develop Ryan Tannehill into sometimes useful, but other times, as we know, typical Ryan Tannehill whatnot. The Rams' late skid may have flattened out his ascension, but if Taylor doesn't get any head coaching offers, he could still be a valuable coordinator pickup for several different teams across the league. I look at Zac Taylor, and I think he's a young guy, right? When you're looking at Sean McVay, young head coach, and I think a lot of these new NFL teams are saying, all right, can we bring in a young Sean McVay? I mean, what better way to do it for somebody who's literally learning underneath Sean McVay? Zac Taylor, though, he is number 10 on our list for a reason. I don't think it's super likely, but hey, we're at least saying that there's a chance. Number 9 on our board here, it's Matt LaFleur, and another guy who I think stock has dropped a little bit. So LaFleur has been able to push his offense to important wins, whether his quarterback has been Marcus Mariota or Blaine Gabbert, or partially injured mashups of the two. He's unleashed this awesome power of Derrick Henry late in the 2018 season, which I like to see, and has made the most of young, but yet a very inconsistent receiving corps, despite the offense that hasn't been exactly prolific this season. I'm looking at LaFleur, and he's another offensive-minded dude who could potentially go really well with Sam Darnold. Now, he's going to be a high-risk, high-reward type of hire if the New York Jets ultimately go with him. And then he does come from the McVay and Shanahan coaching tree, which I know GMs love to see that. But at the end of the day, I'm looking at what this offensive coordinator has done for the Titans, and he surrounded Marcus Mariota a lot. And Marcus Mariota was the number 2 overall pick just a few years ago and really hasn't been developing. If I'm the New York Jets, Matt LaFleur might be an exciting name, but I'm probably, for me personally, not going to hire him as my head coach of the New York Jets. Number 8 here, it's around Kliff Kingsbury, and Kingsbury's got a lot of hype going on around him, which I find a little bit surprising. But before I get into it, let me give you a little bit of background on good old Kliff. Kingsbury was the head coach of the Texas Tech Red Raiders from 2013 until he was fired the following 2018 season. He was recently hired as the new offensive coordinator for Sam Darnold's alma mater, USC. Kingsbury fits the cliche mold of typical NFL fan looking for their head coach in the year 2019. Young, offensive-minded, quarterback-friendly, and fun and exciting. It's fair to wonder, though, if a coach who couldn't win games in the Big 12 can somehow now become a winner in the NFL without any whatsoever NFL coaching experience there. With that being said, I see Jamal Adams vocally advocating for Kingsbury, which you like to see, right? Jamal Adams is, right now, they're probably the top defender on defense, and he's looking like he's going to be the captain for the New York Jets. And when I see Adams advocating for Kingsbury, hey, I like to see that from my coaches, so I'm looking at Jamal Adams, and there's a reason why he's advocating for him. He's really gained a lot of trust of a lot of players, and when you're looking at the New York Jets, who just got a lot of young dudes who are just trying to make their way still in the NFL a little bit, if you can bring in a coach who can inspire confidence and just inspire a winning mentality, that's going to be a big deal for the New York Jets. So I got a question for y'all. Would you hire Kliff Kingsbury as the NFL head coach? And I'm not just talking about the Jets. I'm talking about any NFL team. If you're looking at his resume, if he's one of those coaches who can get players to play for him, but he has no NFL experience, and he's struggling in the Big 12, would you personally hire Kingsbury to be an NFL head coach? Type Y for yes, or type N for no. One name that I just cannot understand how the heck it's going on around coaching circles, it's Jim Caldwell. I'm one of the mindset of been there, done that with old Jimmy. And even though, with the Colts, he took the Colts to a Super Bowl and he actually posted a winning record with the Detroit Lions of 36-28. He's good with quarterbacks and he's good with an offense, and he seems to be an all-around good guy. But he's not right for this job. Caldwell's 63. He lacks presence. He can't manage the clock. Remember the infamous timeout in the final seconds of the Jets-Colts playoff game in the 2010 season? I'm sure a bunch of Jets fans do. Manning was also befuddled that he shook his head in disbelief. Caldwell has already interviewed with the Browns and Cards, and he's looking to interview with the New York Jets. And I just have seen Jim Caldwell, and I've seen what he could do as a head coach. And I don't think he's the answer for any NFL franchise at this time. And sure, he's good with quarterbacks. Sure, he's good with offenses. That's great. The Jets need a lot more than just that. And I understand Sam Darnold's the main focal point, but Jets, come on, let's be real. Jim Caldwell is not the answer. I'll tell you what is the answer. You guys gotta go to chatsports.com/bet. If you want to bet on NFL playoff games, you want to bet on, heck, college football, anything, chatsports.com/bet. Use that promo code LIVE120 for 120% deposit bonus. You put down $50, you're going to get $60 for free. Put down $100, you get $120 for free. Be a big baller, not like Jim Caldwell. Put down $500, get $600 for free. Shout out to BetDSI for hooking up Chat Sports with the best promo code on the internet. Now I'm going to get into my top 6 here, and this is when it gets a little bit more interesting. And the first guy, or number 6 on the board, is Kris Richard. And for all the Cowboys fans out there, you know exactly who I'm talking about. The Jets are expected to interview the Dallas Cowboys defensive backs coach on Sunday, January 6th. He was kind of busy all week as the Cowboys played a wild card game on Saturday, which they got to win against the Seahawks. Richard, a former player, is a charismatic leader who will be one of the guys who will be able to excite the Jets. And after he got fired by the Seattle Seahawks, now let's remember, he also coached the Legion of Boom, so I think he knows a thing or two about defense. Richard became the Cowboys play caller and did a terrific job. There's a lot to like about him, including a winning pedigree, but his defensive background is a big hurdle. The Jets have gone with defensive-minded coaches for 20 years, and they like to break that trend. Now, when I look at Kris Richard, I think he's a great coach, and I think he's ultimately going to be a head coach someday. When you look at what he's been able to do with the Dallas Cowboys, and Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, like they've really resurrected that entire defense. But the New York Jets have done something for the last 20 years, and it has not quite worked out. So Kris Richard is a great head coach. I just don't think he's the right fit for the New York Jets. Moving on now to number 5, somebody who was just recently fired out of the AFC East, and this is Adam Gase. And I think if Adam Gase can maybe put his ego aside, he could actually be a pretty decent head coach. The former Dolphins coach interviewed on Friday, and Gase did a decent job in Miami, going 23-25. Concerning the roster and the quarterback situation, so his ouster surprised some folks around the league. Like McCarthy, he has a background with quarterbacks, and one of his former quarterbacks, Peyton Manning, swears by him. That's a big thing for me. That appeals to the Jets, obviously, who just invested a ton in Sam Darnold. In Miami, Gase had control of a 53-man roster. He wouldn't have that power with the Jets because it belongs to general manager Mike. Belongs to their general manager Mike. And that is that a deal breaker though for him? It might be, but it could lead to disputes also. But at the same time, maybe taking a little bit off of Adam Gase's plate would not necessarily be a bad thing. So I want to know from y'all: is Adam Gase overrated? We've heard Adam Gase when he first got signed by the Dolphins, and he's a great offensive mind. Guess what? Me, right here, I could be a good offensive mind with Peyton Manning, and I think anybody who's watching this could be. So, is Adam Gase overrated? I want you to type an O for underrated, or overrated, and a type a U for underrated. All right, let me know in the comments below. All right, my next guy I've got bringing up here, it's around Todd Monken, and this is one of those names that's starting to gain a little bit of speed, and I think it's an interesting one because he wasn't on our original list. The Bucs offensive coordinator put up big numbers in his first season as the play caller, squeezing a few monster games out of Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's a well-regarded offensive mind with head coaching experience on the college level at Southern Miss, which begs the question, if he's such a whiz, why don't the Buccaneers just hire him and replace Dirk Cutter? Well, I'll say because I think they're a little bit higher on a guy named Bruce Arians. The Jets will interview him on Monday or Tuesday. Let's just think, though. Todd, he's also interviewed with the Bengals as well. So the fact that he's getting other looks from other teams, I like that. But when I'm looking at Todd, I think he would actually be a pretty good fit with the New York Jets. Now, he's not my top candidate. He's obviously ranked there at number 4, but he's a top candidate. He's a sleeper candidate to be the next Jets head coach. If you watch this show, I'm giving a shout out to BetDSI because they hooked us up with the best promo code on the internet. It's that LIVE120. It's 120% deposit bonus. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use that promo code LIVE120 for that 120% deposit bonus. It is the best promo code on the internet. If you like betting on NFL games, college, MLB, NHL, literally any sport out there, BetDSI is the only place to do it. Again, chatsports.com/bet. Promo code LIVE120 and use that 120% deposit bonus. Let's get on now into the top 3 coaches for the New York Jets. And the first guy I'm going to bring up is Eric Bieniemy. And I like Eric Bieniemy, probably because he has the coolest name out of all these coaches. But The Jets interviewed the Chiefs offensive coordinator Wednesday in Kansas City, but they wouldn't be able to hire him until his playoff run is over. He comes highly recommended by coach Andy Reid, who has produced Matt Nagy and Doug Peterson. As one source said, when you come out of there, you're pretty good. The knock on Bieniemy has his lack of experience. He's a first-time offensive coordinator who didn't really call the plays because that's Andy Reid's job. That's not always as accurate predictor of a head coaching success. I'm looking at Bieniemy, and there's a reason why he's top 3 on a bunch of lists. He's coming out of the Andy Reid coaching tree, a coaching tree that has seen a ton of success, and he's been unbelievable with the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, you could say like, oh, the Chiefs are absolutely loaded. But let's not forget really like what the Chiefs have been able to do this entire year. I mean, they had a quarterback who played literally one game before this season, and they just threw 50 touchdowns. Now, I don't think Sam Darnold is going to come out like that what Patrick Mahomes did. But still, if I'm looking at what they were able to get out of Patrick Mahomes, if I'm the New York Jets, I'm saying, hey, I'm asking for like 30 touchdowns. So Eric Bieniemy, I think, would be a really good fit for the New York Jets. I think right now my top candidate, or one of the most interesting, is Matt Rhule. And I'm looking at Matt Rhule, and he's, you could look at the good, you can look at the bad when it comes to Rhule, but I think he'd be a great fit. He's also a New Yorker. The Baylor coach has emerged as a wild card. He's on the radar, and it wouldn't be a surprise if the Jets meet with Rhule while in Texas for the Richard interview. They will try to keep it quiet because it's a sensitive time for college coaches, but there is a lot of interest. Now, again, like I said, he's a New York native, and he interviewed with the Colts last season and is a bright offensive coach who spent one season in the NFL, which is 2012 for the New York Giants. I think when you're looking at Matt Rhule, he's the sexy name. I mean, he's a guy from New York who would love to be able to coach for the New York Jets, and even though he interviewed for some positions last year, when you look at what he was able to do at Temple, sure, Baylor's not a great program, but what he was able to do at Temple turned an absolutely horrible program and turn it into at least a decent one. I think that speaks a lot of what Matt Rhule could potentially do for the New York Jets. So, he's from New York. Guess what? My family's from New York, and this is going to be an awesome debate, and I want to know from you, which NFL job is better? Let's say both jobs are on the table. Would you take the Jets or the Giants? So if you're watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, I want you to type below. Type J for Jets or type G for the G-Men. The number one head coach for the Jets in 2019, it's Mike McCarthy. One league source told me that the Jets CEO, Christopher Johnson, is enamored with McCarthy, who certainly is the most accomplished coach on this team's list. His offensive background appeals to the Jets, who want someone who can nurture quarterback Sam Darnold, as I've stated probably 100 times. It's going to cost the bundle because he averaged $8.5 million annually in Green Bay, but Johnson, I don't think, would be willing to sit at the table if he wasn't actually willing to ante up and pay McCarthy that kind of money. I hear McCarthy doesn't want to uproot his kids in Green Bay, which is something to consider, so it might be incumbent upon the Jets to shorten the distance. All I'm saying, though, is you send Mike McCarthy maybe a private jet for him and his kids, that's going to shorten up the trip really quick. And I'll say this, I kind of rip on Mike McCarthy a little bit. I think when he first came into the league, he was a great offensive mind. Maybe he's getting slowed down a little bit. There's another rumor that he's losing a little bit of love for the NFL. He's just getting older. He's been in the league now for 13 years. And when you look at his last 2 years with the Packers, I'm saying, okay, I will say, I think he's probably the most likely to get hired, but the Jets should be at least a little bit worried because if you can't win with Aaron Rodgers, that needs to be looked at just a little bit. All right, now let's go back over my top 10 candidates for the New York Jets head coaching job in 2019. Zach Taylor came in at number 10. And you have Matt LaFleur at number 9. Kliff Kingsbury there at number 8. Jim Caldwell, no idea why he's still getting interviews, but he's there at number 7. Kris Richard, the defensive-minded coach. If he wasn't in the DC, I think that could be a little bit different, but he's going to get a head coaching job sooner or later. Really like Kris Richard. Now let's look at the top 5. You got Adam Gase, who just got fired by the Dolphins. And I think if I'm the Jets, I'm like, okay, well, maybe you could give us a few tips on how to beat the Dolphins. And you got Todd Monken from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Eric Bieniemy is one of my guys who I absolutely love. Matt Rhule, let's not roll him out. I think he's one of my top candidates for a reason. And then Mike McCarthy coming in at number 1. So I want to know from you, who's going to be the Jets head coach in 2019? I want you to comment below if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube. I want to know from you, who's going to be the Jets head coach in 2019. Whoever's going to be on the Jets sideline, maybe we get him hooked up with some Mizzen and Main because Mizzen and Main has unbelievable dress shirts. And if you guys want some for your own, go to www.comfortable.af, and the website does check out because these shirts are indeed comfortable as F. I tell people all the time, sweat wicking technology, you can't see me sweating right now. They're super flexible, you can literally stretch them, impossible to get wrinkled, the best damn dress shirt you'll ever buy, plus they're made in America. So again, buy them right now, www.comfortable.af. I'll be back later on, probably in the week, with some more NFL rumors or maybe more coaching candidates, but until then, I'll see you.